Happy Monday, internet friends. It's nice to finally be caught up to real time here. The videos I had published previously of the rudder and horizontal stabilizer, those were about a year old. Because of the pandemic, I had stopped working on the airplane. But in late December 2020, I was able to recover from most of the chaos and start building again. As you can see, we're working on the horizontal stabilizer, and that is section 8 in the van's plans. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting out I'm not sure which spar this is, one of the spars. There's two spars on the horizontal stabilizer. Just taking the bluing off, and we're gonna deburr the edges. And it's almost embarrassing here that I've forgotten how to deburr. Because at this point it's been about a year since I've worked on the airplane, but I was actually inspired, is that the right word? Motivated, I think is the word I'm looking for, to get all the parts out and start working on this. So for anyone that doesn't know what deburring is, basically when these parts are cut, there's little metal rough edges that need to be smoothed out. And the reason they need to be smoothed out is because as the airplane flies, it vibrates when it goes through the air, and those rough edges can eventually, become cracks, like little knives, right? They start rubbing and fracturing, and obviously none of that is good for an airplane. So there are deburring tools. Here I'm using a file to kind of get the rough edges off, and I've completely forgotten that right at the edge of my bench there is a deburring wheel that would do all this in about 3 seconds. So in the future you'll see me use that deburring wheel a lot more, but in the meantime we can watch me do this the old school way of using a file and just kind of sanding off or filing off. However, you don't need to file very hard to get those burrs off, but it is time consuming because you need to go over the whole length of the part. Okay, so we have 4 more minutes left of this video, and what are we going to talk about while we sit here and watch me file burrs off? I kind of feel like we're getting pushed into the RV-14 podcast singularity. Or I don't know, is this a podcast? I don't feel like it's a podcast. If it was a podcast, I'd talk about way more things than RV-14s. And then some people might be offended. And really my goal for this is not to offend anybody, but, document the process of building an RV-14, show that pretty much any idiot could do it, especially since I'm doing it, or trying to do it. Trying is a good word. And 3, really trying to see if I can get my kids interested in airplanes, since they would much rather play Minecraft than fly in an airplane. I don't know why. I grew up in the Antelope Valley in the 80s, and there were all kinds of cool planes flying around. In fact, at my high school, one of my friends' dads was the civilian test pilot for the B-2, and her mom taught math at the school, and he would fly the B-2 right over our high school pretty much every other day. And so for me, I always thought to myself, like, I really want to learn to fly and I want to get involved in airplanes, and it took me till I was 30 years old to be able to fly an airplane. And my kids have had the chance since they were very little, and they've shown that they would much rather play Minecraft than fly. So I don't know what that says about me or my ability to share aviation, but I'm hoping that by having an airplane in the garage, maybe they can get in it and make airplane noises and, turn on all the Garmin panels and, at least before it becomes a real airplane, and play with all the switches, and maybe they'll get interested that way. Or maybe they'll be interested because there's a YouTube video. That's another thing. So anyway, I'm trying to avoid saying anything negative very purposefully. Not negative, but offensive. Not that I would offend anyone purposefully, but I'm trying purposefully not to offend anybody. I don't know if any of that made any sense, but we just burned through 3 minutes, so it accomplished its purpose. But I still kind of feel like we're headed towards the RV-14 vlog singularity, because it seems like the format is say what you're doing and then maybe a short rant. I really don't want to steal from any other RV-14 vloggers, but you know, that's not how a singularity works. So I have to travel this week for work, and I've decided to rent a Tesla and try it out and see if it actually achieves the traveling mission, kind of like airplanes, right? Each airplane has its own unique mission, landing in the dirt, traveling far, right? So I'm trying to determine the mission of the Tesla and see if it can actually achieve, interstate travel. So looking forward to that, and I'll report back on that. Hope everyone has a good week, and I'll see you in the next video.